I became vice president in Los Angeles early on in my tenure as a Hell's Angel. Uh, there was a war. We're in the midst of a war, and although I was against the conflict, uh, John knew that I would rise to the occasion if I was called upon. So John knew he could trust me, and I think John also saw that I had a level head on my shoulders, and I could take orders, and that I had some discipline to me. That I think that was my military background. What happened was when the war started, some bad decisions were made by John. A lot of pressure on John politically within the club, and John stepped down as president, and we were just devastated. And the guy that took John's place, Ray Glore, I just didn't see him as a leader. He was easily influenced. I think I talked about Montevilla and him last time. So within a short time into Ray's presidency, he was murdered. And I saw that as the opportunity to go back to John. We needed a good, strong leader. And I petitioned John to take his old job back. Well, you know, there's several ways to become leader in an outlaw bike club. You know, Cisco tells the story of taking over at gunpoint. He went around the room, you know, you're okay, you take it off. You're okay, you take it off. And at the end of the story, as he tells it, this is a true story, he gets to somebody, says, who the hell are you? He'd never seen the guy before. And this was the guy's first meeting. And he's sitting in on this meeting, and Cisco's taking the club over by gunpoint. And Rick, who had a long tenure as not only a leader, but as a Hell's Angel, just stared at Cisco. He said that gun looked huge, and he just said, I'm Rick, and I want to join the club. And that's how he was introduced to it. Of course, there's the political way where you get nominated and you have a vote. There's also puppet leaders. People from other charters will push somebody into a leadership position because they have an agenda. They don't want to take the time and effort to come to your town and pay their dues and whatnot, but they want to have an influence. And the influence is usually the vote. They want to be able to get you and control your vote. So you have, things of that nature going on, political, and like any political arena, like in Washington, if you will. So I went to John. Jesse and I went to John, and I said, you got to take over, man. The club's in a disarray. We've got this war going. It's hanging in the air. We've got a murder on our hands that the police are saying is an in-house murder. We've got people in another bike club. I think there was 4 guys or 5 guys at that time that were dead in the other bike club. And he just looked at me and he said, you really think I'm the guy for the job? I said, absolutely. And Jesse concurred with me. And he said, okay, I'll do it. But you're going to be my vice president. And he said, you come along with me, I'll take the reins again. And that's basically how it happened. It was an easy vote. I brought it up later that week. I don't know when the meeting was. I mean, we're talking 1977. I don't know what day of the week or where we had the meeting. We were moving our meetings around because we were under suspicion that the meetings, the clubhouse had been bugged and whatnot. So we're going to these clandestine garages and places. We even had one meeting on the beach in Ventura. This is before Ventura was even a charter. And so, I brought John up. Jesse seconded it. He came right in. John stood up and, gave one of his famous speeches that I'm asking you to do this, but I'm not taking no for an answer. One of those kind of speeches. And he said, I want this guy to be my vice president. And, you know, it was just the beginning of my political career in the Hells Angels. Well, I said to John, I said, look, John, I'm the vice president now. I want to do something that may seem provocative, but I think is necessary. And I said, a change is only as strong as its weakest link. And I said, I think we got a lot of weak links in this charter. And I said, I'd like your permission to make a list, and I'll show it to you. And with your approval, we'll go out tonight and make the rounds. I think there was close to 20 at that time. And I think by the end of that evening, we went around. It took us all night long. I think we were at 8, maybe 7, 8. I mean, we kicked out a lot of people. And you know what? A lot of them seemed relieved. They were happy. There was one individual that I pushed out of the club, and I had mixed emotions about it. Pushed him out of the club because I felt he was going to be the target of an assassination. He was very unpopular, and I haven't even told him, and he'll know who I'm talking about when he sees this. And I write about it in my new book that I'm working on. But I had to go to him, and I went to him last. I went down the list, and everybody had a cross across the name, and then I got to the last name, and the name just stood out to me. And I thought, what am I going to do? Am I going to let this guy, am I going to let this man that I believed was my brother and good friend be in jeopardy? Or was I going to do the right thing and step up and, kind of push him out? And I did it as soft as I could. The reason I gave him was it was political, he was unpopular, and I stopped short of saying I thought he was going to be killed. But that's the reality of it. I thought he was going to be killed. I thought he was going to be a target. John agreed with me. And, it's interesting now that, people are going one by one, if you will, from old age or whatever reasons, sicknesses and whatnot. We're all old now, and things are coming out. And, there was a string of things in the 70s, Harry the Horse, Gary Robles, Tiny disappears, Terry the Tramp. I mean, people were dropping left and right. And, these weren't because we had an enemy coming after us. This is what law enforcement, like there was an old Rolling Stones article in it. I think one of the bylines said there have been law enforcement estimates that there's been 25 murders within the club in the last 5 years. I mean, it was a very dangerous time. It not only were we fighting, other clubs. We had the Outlaws in the East, the Mongols here in the West. There was a lot of friction within the club. There was a lot of power struggles. Sonny was in prison and about to come back and be released. And that created another power struggle between Sergei Walton and Sonny. It was Sergei's last name was Walton, and there was this saying that was floating around the club, and it took us a while to figure it out. It was Barger's brutal bastards against Walton's warriors. And we sat in the meeting. I was with an 18-year member at the time, and we sat in the meeting, and we were trying to decipher, Barger's brutal bastards and Walton's warriors, and we realized it was a conflict, and people were choosing sides. And some of this stuff is speculation. I don't have it, but you get around this stuff, and you can see what's happening. And it's interesting now. There's Outlaw Archives puts a lot of provocative stuff on his Instagram account. In my last book, I talk about Terry the Tramp getting hot-shotted. It was somebody that didn't want him around anymore. And he, these guys went over, they gave him a hot shot, and I'm going to write about it, so I'll go ahead and say it. But Animal called Sonny. Sonny wanted to hear his last dying breath, and he was choking on his own vomit and whatnot from the hot shot, and Sonny listened on the phone. And this is something Animal told me. Animal had no reason to make it up. He told me this in 1977 or 78, and I wrote about it in my last book, but I didn't identify Sonny as the perpetrator or the one that ordered it. But Animal had mixed emotions about it. Now, what's interesting is Animal never revealed to me who the other people that went with him were. But George Weatherin writes about it in his book, Fallen Angel. I mean, this did happen. They did listen to, they did listen to him take his last breath. But it's, that's pretty vicious and it's pretty brutal. Well, it's interesting you say that made men cannot be killed without permission. But, tell, Paul Castellano that. Gotti took it upon himself to take over that crew for whatever reason, whether it was what he thought it was the best interest of the Gambino family or if he thought it was greed. And, we had a rule similar in the Hells Angels. You couldn't kill a member in good standing. I've heard the rule two ways. You couldn't kill a member with his patch on. Somebody tried to get out of the rule. Well, he didn't have his patch on, and the rule stated, tried to interpret the rule. The guy would have been a great politician, but, the thought of killing your own people, it's terrible. And it's not just the mafia, it's not just the Hells Angels. Look at the prison gangs. They kill their own people all the time. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's reality. And, a lot of people don't want to hear that. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, George is ratting everybody out. I'm not saying anything that people already don't know. And anybody I identify in any type of murder is dead and gone. And, he can handle all the heat that law enforcement puts on him. He's under the ground. And that's what we used to say. Like somebody would die, they would be blamed for everything that ever happened for the last 5 years. They would write, and that was actually the saying. Well, they can handle the heat. They're dead. So, to the people that are complaining or crying that I'm saying too much, fuck you.